Unit 1, Topic 7, add and subtract polynomials. So let's go through a couple examples. This is again from the Newton homework assignment. So the first thing we want to do in this, because this looks hideous, but it's really not that bad once you break it down. Remember the most important things is we can only combine terms that are like. That means same variables, same exponents. And we need to clear those parentheses first, right? Because we can't do anything with those negatives out front. So this is the same thing. We're just going to write it without parentheses. We have 8u cubed minus 9u squared y. Now remember, we're distributing this negative through. So when we have a negative negative, that's plus 4uy squared plus 8y cubed plus 10u squared y plus 11uy squared. I know, it's like a tongue twister. All right, so the first thing we need to do, identify like terms. So I see here that I have an 8u cubed. I don't have any other 8u cubes, huh? Do we have u squared y? Here's a u squared y and a u squared y. So those can be combined. So what we need to do then is take their terms. So what we know is that this term and this term don't share any other like terms. So those are going to remain as part of the problem. So let's go ahead and just break down the other one. So let's go ahead and write 8u cubed. And then we have this. So let's actually, before we do this, let's take this aside and combine these two, right? So we have negative 9u squared y plus 10u squared y. Remember, when you're combining like terms like this or adding and subtracting these polynomials, you keep the variable. So we know that we're going to have u squared y. Here then we need to take the constants and say negative 9 plus 10. That equals 1. So this is going to be 1u squared y or just u squared y. Remember, when there's a y in front, we don't write it. It's already implied when you don't see a constant in front. So that means that these terms now combine to make, so we have 8u cubed plus u squared y. All right, are there any other like terms we can combine? Here's a uy squared, and here's another uy squared. Notice I underline them with the same number of underlines. That just helps me keep track of which ones can go together or don't have a matching term. So we have 4uy squared plus 11uy squared. Again, these terms are the same, so that part stays the same. Oops, gosh, I don't like these u's and y's. uy squared. And then we need to combine these numbers. 4 plus 11 gives us 15 because we're adding, positive adding. Here is a negative, so keep that in mind. You always have to look at the sign in front of that number. So those terms combine to be plus 15uy squared. But we're not done yet because we still have that other term, right? So far we've accounted for this, 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 and this, but we still have this term. So we need to make sure we add that onto the end, 8y cubed. All right, so that's your answer. There's no more like terms. There's nothing else we can add or subtract or combine. So that's our answer, 8u cubed plus u squared y plus 15uy squared plus 8y cubed. All right, let's look at another example. All right, here we go. We have, to make sure I write it small enough, 10m squared plus 6mx minus 11x squared plus negative 2m squared plus 4mx plus 4x squared. So now we have two terms in parentheses. I'll be honest, I always find it funny when they put parentheses when you're adding because it really doesn't change anything. It only really changes if it's a subtraction. So in this case, what I'm actually going to do is just erase these parentheses, but it's important since here we're adding a negative to make sure that this is subtracted. So we're subtracting that 2m squared, but there's no need for these other parentheses. Let's not waste a step. All right, now we need to find like terms. So here we have 10m squared. I see negative 2m squared here. So let's take those over here. So we have 10m squared minus 2m squared. Now I'm breaking this down, but you guys should get to the point where you look at that and go, that's 8m squared. But I do want to break it down just to show you guys. And then as we get a little bit further in, I'll just go through that more seamlessly. So we know we keep the variable term m squared, and 10 minus 2 is 8. So we know that those, are equal to 8m squared. So I know our first term is going to be 8m squared, and those are done, right? So now we have to look, we have 6mx and 4mx. So when we have 6mx plus 4mx, that's the same thing as saying 6 plus 4 is 10mx. So we add 10mx. Okay, so those are taken care of. Now we have this x squared term. So now we have negative 11x squared plus 4x squared. Remember, we keep the variable term, and then we say negative 11 plus 4 is negative 7. So we have minus 7x squared, and those terms are taken into account. And one of the reasons I've always crossed out terms is it helps keep track of this, make sure you're not forgetting anything. So your final answer is 8m squared plus 10mx minus 7x squared. All right, so it's a couple examples how to add and subtract polynomials. So if you have any questions about that or anything else, let me know.